Hello and welcome to Season 5, Episode 12 of the Sajin Photography Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Teal, and today we're diving into a not-so-recent excursion into the area known as Seuldo Island in Ulsan, South Korea. Now, picture this, the pre-dawn hours, a crisp breeze in the air, and the promise of capturing moments of raw beauty as the world slowly wakes up. That's exactly what I experienced during this adventure to Seuldo Island. Now, I'm lucky enough to be able to get out to this island relatively easy. It's a short drive from my home here in Ulsan, so it's not really that big of an excursion, but hey, I love that area and I really try and get out there as much as I can, especially for the sunrise. Now, I initially set out to plan a photo walk for my students, but that particular weekend, Mother Nature, well, she had some different plans. She gave us rain instead. Yet, from the ashes of those canceled plans emerged an opportunity for kind of a more solo exploration, a chance to chase the pre-dawn and capture the essence of Seuldo through my lens, if you want to put it that way. Now, Seuldo, if you don't know, is an island near Daewongan. It's surrounded by seaside cafes now and a lot of super Instagram worthy canola flowers. And it's a haven for those seeking inspiration and to sort of plump up their Instagram feeds. It's in the last few years, it's become a huge place for the flowers and for the sunrise and all the little cafes around there. Like years ago, it was really nothing. Everybody went to Daewongan, everybody got the sunrise there. Now they're heading around the corner to Seuldo. And you know what? The whole area actually is really cool. I personally prefer Seuldo just for the rocks and the lighthouses. If you follow my work, then you know that I do have a penchant for lighthouses. So that's typically where I go. Daewongan, it's sort of a one-off thing. You hike out there, you get the shot, and then you're pretty much done. I find that there's a little bit more out in Seuldo. Now, for me, though, the real magic lies really in the early morning hours out there, kind of when the world is still sort of sleeping and the early morning hues are really sort of just painting that landscape and especially this lighthouse out there. It really is a beautiful scene. So on this particular day, I sort of stumbled out of bed. As usual, I was late, yet I was eager to find myself sort of greeted by a really nice moon. And I'm not saying like it was like awe-striking, but it was a really impressive moon. And it was just stuck right behind one of the lighthouses and it was just casting this amazing glow. So in that moment, I parked the car, jumped out, and I just started snapping away. And it was really a reward for myself anyway, just to sort of get out and get those shots when it was such an early morning rush just to sort of get out of bed. But it wasn't just the scenery that captivated me. It was sort of there was an unexpected encounter with another photographer, and I could tell he was a photographer as soon as he pulled up. So we had this sort of like silent kind of nod as he snapped away, and we shared this sort of photographic moment, capturing sort of the fleeting beauty of the dawn. The best part about this was after we had got those moonshots, he had sort of disappeared off and, kind of carried on his way. And then as I saw the sun come up, I saw him again sort of waving at me, telling me to, hurry up, bali, bali, and I ran across the parking lot and we caught the sunrise together and we got some shots. And then, again, there's that like nod and, okay, I'm going to go this way. And he's like, all right. And we just went off. And it's these encounters that I find, especially because it's a foreigner and a Korean photographer, they're a little bit sort of, you don't get it that often. Like, I think there's no real bridge between the two groups at sometimes. And this point was really like we were communicating on a photographic level. Like there was no, nonsense. It was, like I knew exactly what he was getting at when he was telling me to hurry up. We both knew what we were shooting at. That was sort of our communication, was like through the cameras and through the scene. And it really stuck with me because for me, it was a kind of like a nod saying like, hey, there are some good people in this world. There are some good photographers. And so after I got the sunrise wasn't that great. So I headed further down towards Daewongan, and I got the shots that I really wanted, but nothing too great out there. By the time the sun came up, the magic was sort of gone. So as I retraced my steps back to my car, exhaustion mingled with a little bit of euphoria because I was really wanting to see what those shots of the moon were like. But I was still sort of, energized to get some more shots. And as I sipped my coffee in the quiet of my tiny little car, I thought about those moon shots, and each image was sort of, like a testament to the beauty of this fine city here in Ulsan. But perhaps the greatest lesson I learned from this journey is the importance of putting yourself out to get up in the morning and to get those shots. In a world sort of filled with all these distractions and excuses, it's easy to stay in bed and just watch the sunrise through the window instead of experiencing it firsthand. But it's in those moments of discomfort and uncertainty that we often find our greatest photographic rewards. But now, my story doesn't end here. Fueled by this sort of thirst for exploration and the desire to push myself beyond the confines of comfort, I decided, oddly enough, to head out to Gyeongju, a city steeped in history and still sort of blooming with cherry blossoms at this point. So you can see that this is a few weeks ago that I did this. Now, I could have just driven home and, went back to sleep, but the promise of witnessing the fabled double blossoms in front of Bulguksa Temple spurred me onwards. And if you don't know what this is, like, the cherry blossom season is gone far past at this moment in time, and the double blossoms at that point were still around, and this is weeks after the peak season. So I'd say this is probably about like mid-April or something like that. I really wanted to get those shots. I had heard about them from a friend, and I said, like, what the hell? I'll just drive out there. I've got the time. So as I navigated the numerous traffic lights and speed cameras along the highway number 7, the anticipation sort of grew with each kilometer because I could see different little plops of double blossoms here and there. And when I finally arrived at Bulguksa, I was greeted by the sight that took my breath away. It was a forest of these blossoms in full bloom. And it was just every time the wind blew, these, like, the petals just sort of, I felt like I was in like a K-drama, just minus the good looking people and the cheesy music. But, I was there and it was great. So with camera in my hand, I set out to capture this sort of essence of late spring and the vibrant colors and the textures of the roots coming out of the ground, and sort of the fleeting beauty of these cherry blossoms against the backdrop of what is basically the front yard of Bulguksa. And as I framed each shot, I reminded of the decision to push myself out and do stuff and to chase the beauty of Korea that was sort of like really just unfolding in front of me. And so as we come to like the final chapter of this day, a reflection on the importance of pushing oneself to get out and embrace the unknown with the open arms and open lenses. That's sort of the cheesiest way I could put it. But it's easy to succumb to the allure of the easy way of life, to just go back to sleep and to prioritize comfort over curiosity. But it's in these moments of discomfort and uncertainty that we often find our greatest rewards. And I really can't stress that enough, that, oftentimes it's these moments where you're coming home from work and you really just want to settle into some food, or, like, I don't know if you guys drink, but I don't, but I'm sure like someone wants to crack a beer or something like that. But oftentimes when you see the sunset and it's like, I could just grab my camera, but I'm tired. I just want to sit back. And oftentimes when you do grab your camera, you get rewarded. And this was one of those mornings where, like, I really was dragging my ass out the door, and I was so shocked to see what was sort of unfolded in front of me, not just in Seuldo, but in Gyeongju as well. So That being said, here's to Seuldo Island, to Gyeongju's ancient allure, and to those serendipitous moments that shape our journey. May we continue to chase dawn, one click of the shutter at a time, and in search of these stories yet untold. Wow, I really gotta lay off the coffee when I write these scripts. Anyway, thank you for joining me on this journey. And if you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to the Sajin Photography podcast for more adventures like this and behind the scenes kind of stuff. Until next time, keep chasing the light. And as always, do your best out there. Take care, everyone. See you next week.